Good evening, folks. It's July 30th, 2020. Number 201, the odometer has turned the page, if you will, for my show. And I have a special guest on for you tonight. Rob Montminy is, to me, the godfather, the upcoming godfather for Massachusetts veterans. Rob, welcome to Oscar Mike Radio. What a pleasure.
Thank you.
So the reason I say up and coming is right now in certain circles, Tommy Lyons, who's a Marine veteran, is kind of still carrying the torch. But in a lot of ways, you're setting this new scene in the social media to engage with not only Marine veterans, but also veterans in Massachusetts. So I just kind of wanted to make that distinction. And I love Tommy a lot. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Got my dog crying in the background. He's not doing so well.
I've had dogs and animals be part of the show before, so it's no big deal. So for everybody out there, what did you do? You served in the military, correct?
I did, yep. From 05 to 09.
Okay.
In the Marine Corps.
Hoorah.
Infantry. Went through right out of infantry training to recon training. I was there for about 8 months. Failed out of that school. Got kicked to the grunts. Got picked up by the sniper team. I got asked if I wanted to join. I said, of course. They had learned where I came from. But I did that and deployed on a MEU. We went around to the Mediterranean, the Gulf of Aden. And then went to sniper school. I failed out of that too.
But those are hard schools, man. I mean, you weren't just happy being an 03. You wanted to go all the way.
A little bit. That was my hopes and dreams. And then I messed up my shoulder pretty good, and that was kind of the end of my military career. I just kind of rode it out until the end, and it was time to go home.
No, I got you. So, you transitioned back home. Did you grow up in Massachusetts?
I did, yep, from Lowell. Okay.
So from Lowell. So you go back home. Now, how was your transition out of the Marine Corps back to Massachusetts? Back to home, excuse me.
It wasn't that great. I was still a young kid. I was 21, just out of the military. I was kind of demoralized from the Marines. I felt like I had a lot of things robbed from me. Like, aside from losing friends as well, I felt like I got robbed of missing out on college days. So I kind of just got out and partied for a bit, and that got a little out of hand. And so I decided to go to school. And
GI Bill?
Yep.
So you actually used your GI Bill?
I did, and then some.
Nice.
I was fortunate. When I first got out, I started going to school, but I wasted some of it. I won't lie. I wasted my time and I wasted the GI Bill. And so about my junior year of college, I was about to run out of my GI Bill, and I ran into a friend, and he's like, "You have a disability rating, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Dude, voc rehab. It's the way to go, and you'll be all set." So I did that, and I completed my master's degree.
Oh, congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So you're doing all that, and I got to tell you, I mean, different situation. But when I went to Hawk School, they told us our MOS is going away. We didn't believe it. I mean, after all, why would the Marine Corps send you to a school for a job that was going away? But the Marine Corps did, and I keep wondering if they had that thing still active, or I went somewhere else, would I even be here right now? So I get it where you're saying that you felt like you were robbed of the full experience in some aspects. And it's tough coming back home, or in this case, I didn't come home. I moved right here. That's a different story. But you're doing all this. And so you got out in 2009. You got your master's degree. You're working now. The reason we're talking is you kind of head up, like I said, the Masshole veterans / Marines. You got I should have my shirt, but these are veterans groups central to Massachusetts. So why did you feel like there was a need for these kinds of groups, primarily on social media, where, you know, the normal paradigm is, let's go to an American Legion, VFW, Marine Corps League, AMVETS, and meet there. What got you going this way?
Well, it kind of almost started by accident. A good friend of mine put me in. The group was already started, but it was very inactive. There was only about 100 some odd people in there, and so me and my friend came up with one day of, you know, let's start getting guys together. Let's meet up. You know, so that took off. There was probably about 4 or 5 of us. We met up, and it just kind of snowballed from there. I started helping guys out more, you know, just with general information about veteran benefits. Because getting out, you know, I didn't come from a good home, so I struggled a bit myself, and I had to navigate my own ways through the benefit system and how to utilize the resources that were available. So I figured, you know, why have somebody else struggle when I've already gone through it? There's really no need to. You know, the plan's already there.
So that's one of the things I want people to know is there's a lot of people, and you've met them, who you know, talk the talk, but you know, there's been times on both groups where a call's gone out, whether it's for, you know, what kind of socket to use on my engine or my truck, to I've got a real, like, no bullshit problem here, guys. And I've been a part of that group for what, now, almost 3 years now, I think.
I think so.
And the response is instantaneous. There's no committee needed. It's like, hey, drop your phone number in a PM and we'll get you the help you need. And it's really cool to see. And I've been involved in just a couple of those, not really heavily as you, but to be a part of that is really special. And I think that's missing from a lot of veterans' lives. So, you know, how are you keeping that going?
Oh, I don't know. It's really the veterans themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I just kind of steer the ship, and everybody else is just participating. They're throwing their own two cents in, their own expertise in, and that's what makes the group so special. Is that, you know, everybody's contributing something, whether it be something funny to get somebody give somebody a laugh for the day, or they're, you know, no shit, kicking in the door later that night because somebody is, you know, having a call for help.
Well, I mean, so, you know, folks, Rob's being very modest and reticent right now. I'm gonna brag about you for a minute, Rob.
All right.
First of all, you understand, people, that you have, you know, there's over like almost 2,000 of us now in the Masshole Marines.
3,000.
3,000. Oh, wow. Okay. And there's close to the same number in Masshole. That's a little less, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had taken the both of them. It's about almost 1,500 between the two of them.
Okay, so 3,000, and he won't say it, but I will. But getting those people to kind of move in the same direction is not easy, and sometimes, you know, like I said, we call him the Godfather for the reason. Is it's very easy to get the all of us to go in the same direction. Sometimes you got to be a little bit more, let's just say, emphatic. But he does it and it works. And it's really interesting because this is not like folks in an official group with an office in Washington, D.C. or in Boston. These are a bunch of people in this state that just agree that certain things for veterans aren't acceptable. Certain things are. We're going to have fun doing it. So, you know, Rob does a little bit more than just, you know, referee. I had to say that, Rob. I had to say that. I'm not just, you know, throwing you some bro love, but I really do mean that, because, you know, you see so many people that don't, and you get kind of cynical, right? So I want to make sure people understand that does happen.
And I kind of feel like you mentioned the VFW and American Legions, and I wholeheartedly support them. They definitely, for our generation, the OIF, OEF generation, they certainly have their drawbacks and flaws. Primarily, they've kind of failed to modernize so much. But, you know, it's because they have done that, and social media is now the thing for this generation. It's an easier tool to get to people, and, you know, because those organizations fail to modernize. They really lack the crowd, drawing the crowds into their facilities. And that's not to say all of them, but a lot of them. And why would I go pay a couple dollars to go to a kind of a rundown bar when I could go to any bar that I want and just text people and say, hey, let's meet up here? Or say I could post in one of the groups and say, hey, I'm going to go have lunch at this place today. Who wants to come join me? And you'll usually get a couple of people to even join you for lunch.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think there is a place for those organizations. I think they've done good work. I think they're understanding that they may have, refused to be adaptable for a long time, and now they're in trouble in some regards. Not in trouble is not the right word, but they are understanding they've got to change now.
Yeah.
They've got to change now. And to your point, is there's sometimes where it's like, hey, we're going out on the motorcycles tonight, guys. We're going to meet at, Foxborough. Are you in? And we just go.
Right.
Or you, like you said, a Saturday night, I'm like, what are these guys doing? They're having a good time with no real, hierarchical structure. And it's kind of cool to see that work when we come from a club, if you will, that demands, there's a head figure and everybody's going to do what the senior guy says in front of them. And how does that work where it's just kind of, it's kind of a loose organization, but it's not. It's very well done.
Yeah. So the way we started it, and, intend to keep it that way, is, this is a group for you. If you're a veteran, this is your group. So if you want to go out and have a bonfire at your house and you want to invite everybody, as many people as you can, by all means, go for it. You don't need my permission to hang out with people. I don't care, and I don't want to censor people like that. I think that's silly.
No, I understand, but just to get serious here real quick, and I understand confidentiality and all that, but I do kind of want to go through, because you and I have both seen where the call goes out for help. And you see where, everybody in the group or people in the group will respond to that call for help. What's that like with when, as we say, the flag goes up and we realize this is serious, and some of these have been serious, and I don't care where you are, we're going to come help you. Kind of just break that down for me, because people don't understand that sometimes.
Unfortunately, it's almost become routine for myself and a couple others who really work behind the scenes that not many other people see. It's what happens is usually somebody will make contact with them first, whoever sees it first, and they'll make contact with that person and start talking to them. Whoever starts talking to them, I find out right away and say, all right, who is this? What's their story? What's going on? And they inform me. Okay, if it's serious enough, we'll send somebody over there to actually go sit with them. Or, worst case scenario is that we have to, get law enforcement involved. But that's usually a last resort. Right. Some guys have, custody battles and stuff going on, or some things with their work, and a police record of that situation could really harm them. So we try to mitigate that. But then it's usually involves myself or a couple other individuals, and we'll start talking to them and say, what's going on? Oh, well, my wife left me. Well, why? Well, what's going on? Tell me the story. Well, I've been drinking a lot. Whoa, all right. That's serious. Why? What's going on with that? We're not trained counselors. We're not therapists. We're just trying to get to the bottom of the information or the bottom of the story so that we could really identify the root causes of what's going on, and then be able to put that person with the right contacts that they need to be in, whether it be a therapist, whether it be a financial advisor, whether it be a lawyer. So we've kind of run the gamut or veteran benefits. Maybe they're unemployed. All right, well, let's get you to Chapter 115 benefits. We'll get you that. You on disability yet? No. All right, well, let's get you stuff going on. See if you're applicable, and we'll get that ball going. And we have plenty of VSOs that are more than willing to help, because they could do it throughout the entire state, regardless of the towns they're in. So we try to really give people the hand up once we find out what's going on. And that's what happens.
Well, it's been really cool to see. I think the best part for me is it's like, a day later, even a month later, it's like, hey guys, just want to know that, a month ago I was in a really bad jam and you guys all came together and helped me out, and I'm in a better place now. I'm going to get myself turned around. And 6 months later, hey, I got a house, or I got a job, or, my girl and I are rocking steady. So it's just nice to see. It's just nice to see. And I think that's in some ways how it has to be, regardless of what state you're in. I mean, we as veterans got to band together and help ourselves out instead of waiting for somebody else.
Right. And that's kind of always been our mentality, is if nobody's going to help us, then who can?
Right.
We have to do it ourselves.
Absolutely. So some things that I kind of want to talk about with regard to our state and the state of our veterans in Massachusetts. I think I'd be remiss, man, if I didn't get your feeling about the Soldiers' Home in Holyoke. I've gone through and read the entire report. I've tried to keep an open mind, and it's just a bad look because, the guy, I think he was a captain, Captain Walsh, who got the job, really in a lot of respects shouldn't have been there in the first place. And I think as I can say that now, having read the report, I kind of didn't want to talk about it or get sensational, but after reading the report, that's the read I get off of it. And I want to do something to make sure it doesn't slip into the, black hole of memories for people. I kind of want to know what you think.
Unfortunately, I think that's where it will go. Right now, the spotlight's on it due to the global pandemic and everything that's going on. But once that goes away, it's, veterans are just going to be kicked to the wayside once again. But it's just unfortunate. It's usually how it goes. Veteran communities usually play it as a pawn and, pretty much for a vote, typically. And sure, there are some that are, that actually do care, but they're hard to come by, in my opinion, from what I've seen. In regards to Holyoke, it was just a mismanagement from the top down. And it's sad to see, and it's disheartening. And you and I could both end up there one day.
Right. That's that, and not for nothing, Rob. That's kind of where I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, it's very possible, not likely, but possible.
Yeah.
And those, regardless of why those men and women were there, they were put their trust to get taken care of. And they had definitely, if you read some of these guys' service records, weren't deserve the best care possible.
Yeah.
And, my thing is, I just watched the Making of a Drug Scandal about the Massachusetts drug scandal. And I'm like, I agree with you. I think, 3 to 6 months from now, once the election cycle is over, this will be put into the dustbin of memories and forgotten about.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. It's just the way that it goes.
Well, I mean, people got replaced. And, speaking of that, there's a lot of names getting thrown around for the next Secretary of, Veteran Services for the Commonwealth. Are there any names that come to mind that, you think would really fit the bill?
Absolutely. One of our members, Michael Dejas, hands down, one of the most committed veterans I've ever seen. There are a few solid players who know what they're doing, but Michael's one of them that really takes the cake, and he really cares. He does more than me. He's one of our resources that we go to and say, hey, we got this guy. Let's get him set up with this or that, within the veteran community. And he knows the VA inside and out. He knows all the rules, all the regulations to the state for veterans, and he cares. He actually does truly care. I've been on the phone with this kid at 10 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, Hey, we got to get this kid taken care of. Let's go. All right, got it done. He's just amazing. That's who I would like to see, and I know that's who a lot of the Masshole vets and Masshole Marines like to see too. He's helped a lot of people, and he knows what he's doing. He knows the systems.
So how people don't appreciate, how complex, because I'm kind of dabbling into it, and I get stuff from the VA and I read through it, and that's just a job in itself. How complex is the VA system to actually navigate in your behalf if you don't know what's going on?
It's the issue with the VA is that there's red tape after red tape. And another thing too is it's really been the culture that's been bred within the VA, and that's, well, you can't fire me, But back to the issues, it's all bureaucracy, and it's as well as the pace, and that's bred from the culture. And navigating through all that can be extremely difficult. Before coming into the resources that I have now, like Michael, I was reading the federal regulations on all this stuff. I was pulling it up on Google and reading through all of it, and it's written by lawyers for lawyers, and that's all it is. And it gets misinterpreted along, down the line and along the way, and you get a lot of getting blown off. And the other thing too is that within the VA system, they make it impossible for you to even get in contact with anybody. So how can you follow up with people when you don't even have their email or phone number?
Well, so I'm having to follow up on something, and I'm finding that out, and I just want a living, breathing person to do it. I'm going to try next week. If I run into an issue, I might be giving you a call, man, because I submitted this paperwork back in December, and the last I heard in January is it was kicked to the DAV, which and that's where it is. So I've got to figure out. So I'm trying to get I was told to get my disability claim updated.
Yeah.
So I submitted the paperwork. They're like, okay, we'll look at it. I got a notification saying it was going to the DAV for review, and we'll get in contact with you. So I've got to
my understanding, it should really only go to the DAV if you sent it there for an appeal. No. But that's my understanding.
Well, I'm going to find out. Well, yeah, I'm going to find out. This is a whole other story. But, I'm like, oh my God, I just want to go to a website, pull up a portal somewhere and see where my stuff is. And it's not that easy. So what other challenges, because I talked to veterans in different states, through doing this, and there's common challenges depending upon where you are. A lot of other states have the problem where they don't have a VSO or veteran service officer in each town, or right. One for multiple cities, right? If you have
well, that's even in Massachusetts. Massachusetts is supposed to have a VSO for each town, and not all of them do.
Really?
Yeah.
I just got told that every town has one. I was sworn up and down. No, really.
They're supposed to, not all of them. Which town specifically, I'm not sure, but I know there's quite a few that don't. There's some that share jurisdictions due to their proximity and low population volumes and things like that. But yeah, but with other states, so we actually have other groups like us that we have partnerships with.
Okay.
And eventually we're going to merge as one to be have more of a national presence. These groups have already been set up: New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, North Carolina. They tap into our resources, and we're more than happy to help them.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not trying to. I'm kind of tooting you guys' horn a little bit, but there's not. 3 years ago when I joined, there weren't other states doing what Masshole Marines and Masshole Vets was doing. They were very disorganized groups, or groups. I'm a veteran biker group. There's plenty of those.
Yeah.
Nothing really like this for everybody. Like we have all kinds of people in our group, and it's great that way to share those experiences. So are you saying that other people are looking at what you're doing and trying to emulate that?
Yeah. So there's a few that we've kind of like stepped in and say, hey, this is what we do. I want you guys to emulate us. And as you grow and as we grow, later on, we will merge and come together and be a larger organization. And that way we will have more of a national footprint and can stand on a grander scale and advocate for veterans and veteran issues.
It's going to be key, man, because, with the other, I want to say brick and mortar organizations, in the process of adapting, we still need that voice. And, our politicians only understand numbers for votes. That's all they care about, as you mentioned earlier. So a lot of the same issues in Massachusetts, the other states have, are the same in Massachusetts. Is it still about, jobs, education, and benefits, healthcare? Or are those the primary ones that the typical vet has to worry about? Or is there something else that we got to think about?
Well, yeah, but it boils down to the individual. And so you get organizations like the VA and the VFW and American Legion, and it's kind of like a one-size-fits-all type deal. And it's like, well, too bad. This doesn't apply to you. Oh, well, there's no tailoring to the individual, which I really feel like we strive in doing. It's, in other nonprofits as well, not to, belittle them, but I just think it's just what we do differently, is that we actually follow up with the individual and create like individual plans for people and say, hey, again, like, what do you need? What's the problem? And we do a lot of follow-up with guys too. That's why you see guys like 6 months to a year later, like, hey, I'm doing great. It's partly because we followed up with them and say, hey, are you on the track that we've built for you or what? I don't want to see you back sleeping in your car with $20 in your pocket again, because then you hit me up and I'm like, dude, come on, I set this up for you. And we learned early on that was a good probability. And so we try to mitigate that very quickly. And just to say too, we try to identify guys who are just getting out so those situations don't happen. Because I found myself in that situation as I was getting out. I had no home to go to. I didn't have a job set up. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea. And so identifying, active duty members who were getting out within a year to 6 months, and then talking with them and saying, hey, what is your plan? Because I don't want them to end up like me, how I ended up. Just sleeping on somebody's couch and had no clue what I was doing with my life.
Yeah, I don't think people appreciate or understand that it happens a lot more than they think. They watch the TV shows and movies and think that everything's all good all the time, and it's not. And sometimes the battle really begins when you do get out. So, and I think you're onto something where it's really the individual veteran and the individual veteran helping each other out that can make that change. So, good stuff. Good stuff. Now, to switch it up a little bit. We got to talk about one of our own who did something or he didn't do something bad. He just stood there. And I got to get off my chest, Rob, because it's really bothering me. This whole, that TikTok, what do you think about that Marine standing there at parade rest while was it his wife? I didn't even want to find out.
Honestly, I don't know if it was his wife. I hope it was his wife, but then again, I hope not.
I hope not. For his sake, doing this dance/thing, and I'm like, dude, where is your cojones at? Rob, what was that?
A staff NCO, nonetheless.
He wasn't a staff NCO.
I'm pretty sure he was. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I thought he was a gunny.
He looked awful young to be a gunny, but then again, I'm not young anymore myself. But I mean, I know back when I was in, if some guy had done that, forget it. He's getting hazed, made fun of.
Line, let's go.
every day he shows up.
Oh yeah.
Every day. But and he
Ruined
knew
his
it.
career is what she did.
You could see it in his face that that soulless, like I've mortgaged my soul for
Maybe he
what?
wanted a new PS4. I don't know.
Well, he definitely doesn't wear the pants when he comes home in that family. I'm like, oh, that's what's bothering me. Like, I mean, what a Marine. I mean, be a Marine and say no. You can say no.
I don't know, but I find the parodies more hilarious.
It was just brutal, man. I mean, once our other services, like, you know, the Army's like, hey, I had Army guys saying, hey, we've never done anything like that. I'm like, yeah. Air Force guys saying, hey, what's in the Marine Corps water now? I'm like, you know, just shut up. It's just because we all have to own it, Rob. We all have to own it.
I don't know. He might be the one that we disown, though.
It might be a first.
He'll have to do something to prove himself once again. I don't know. Maybe send him back to boot camp or something silly.
He's gonna have to really Medal of Honor good to get out of that one. Absolutely.
Or maybe I could just haze him.
I think a Masshole event where he has to run the gauntlet and we baptize him proverbially would do it.
I think that's fair. Some good blood stripes here and there.
Yeah. We here's what we could do. We could get him to show up, do the thing with him, and do like a pay-per-view and raise money for the group.
I love it.
If he did that, I would forgive him.
Speaking of money for the group, are you coming camping?
When is that?
That's August 14th to the 16th.
Huh. Hold on a second. I don't think I signed up because, let's see here. I tell you what, I can come Saturday night.
Perfect.
But I don't drink, Rob.
That's all right. You don't have to drink. You can just babysit us.
I've done that before. Every time we wanted to go to Calexico or Mexicali and dance with the pretty Latina girls, I was the babysitter and bodyguard. I'm like, dude, you're getting ready to get our asses kicked by the federales. Let's go.
That's one thing we didn't bring up though, man, is we do events. You know, we go camping, we do golf outings, we do just general meetups or bowling events.
Yeah.
You know, it's so far outside the traditional the VFWs and stuff. It's just that's another thing that makes us different or a motorcycle ride. You know, like you said, there are a lot of motorcycle groups out there, even veteran motorcycle groups. But we just do things kind of a little different, and I think that's why we have success, and I think that's why we save lives too in the way that we do it.
So, for a veteran in Massachusetts, now what's the rules for joining? There's different rules for Masshole Marines and different rules for Masshole veterans. What's the rule to join up for both of them?
Have a Facebook and be a veteran in Mass and New England.
So you can, if you're in Rhode Island in a Marine, you can join Masshole Marines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not from here, Rob. I moved here in '99 and didn't know anything about Massachusetts. I Worcester, for example. I walked up to this dude and said, "Hey, I'm going to Worcester today." He looked at me like, "You're a fucking retard." But Masshole, I thought that was kind of a negative thing until I got to know some of you. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty apt, actually. But you don't have to be in this state. You got to be in one of the New England states to join.
Yep.
You got to have a Facebook profile.
Yep.
And the last thing I would say is I don't want to hear excuses. I hear excuses. Well, there's nothing for us to do. No one wants to hang out with me. I'm like, look, dude, if you can play D&D and there's some other guy in veterans or the Marines that will play D&D with you.
Yeah. And we started creating subgroups as well. Our barbell group, which is, people like to lift or work out or
I'm a member.
exercise in any type of way. Our outdoors group for, the outdoorsmen, whether you like to 4-wheel, fish or hunt or whatever, rock climb, whatever. And we got our music group too. So there's certainly a lot of interest there, and there's something for everybody for pretty much.
Awesome. Now look, I'm always repping. I see the patch on your shirt, and folks, I'm getting mine. I got my Oscar Mike Radio shirt on, which is pretty fly, but the patch is pretty dope there, Rob. Explain the patch, what's on the patch there for Masshole Marines, because that's
so this
awesome.
is a Masshole Marines one. We got to come up with a really good one for Masshole vets. We're kind of going through a few now to try to. So what do we want on shirts?
So explain to folks what's that patch got on it.
So it has the state symbol.
Okay. Yep.
Masshole Marines USMC, the EGA, and the stars for the states.
Awesome. And we have a store, right?
Yeah. CormanUpApparel.com.
I'll have that link
excuse me, CormanUp.com.
CormanUp.com.
Yep.
I will have that link, folks, in the post for this, and hashtags for all his stuff. And that's where you get the authentic stuff. If you get it at Target or Marshalls, you're not getting an official shirt. You might get.
I might have our attorney look into that one a little bit. Picking it up at Marshalls.
So we have the camp out coming up in August, man. That's really good. I think we need that with all this social distancing stuff going on. Anything else going on here in the next couple of months that you want to, bring up?
We got our eyes set on a pig roast, which will be, everybody bring the kids, family. We got to work out the details with that. We just got to find our issue is finding a space big enough for it, and then social distancing and things like taking those things into consideration. But we'd like to do that, and we're hoping to just have activities for kids and the family and the wives and the girlfriends and the boyfriends and the husbands and everything else.
Absolutely.
So, people can meet each other and just have a good time, and for the general public as well.
Awesome.
If somebody wants to come out and support us, that'd be great.
Awesome. Well, look, this shouldn't be your last time on Oscar Mike Radio, Rob. It took us a while to get to this point, but now that you're here, it's like freaking pretty. It's pretty awesome, and I want to thank you for coming on and representing.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, oh man, it's great. But I really, again, not trying to have a bro love moment, but I really do appreciate the things that you and people behind the scenes do, because I know a lot's going on all the time, and it doesn't happen in a vacuum. And when you're around somebody who walks this talk and you can see the people benefiting from that, it's really powerful, man. Thank you.
I appreciate it, man. Everybody should. There's no reason why any veteran should struggle. The resources are there. The way has been paved for a lot of us. No matter what route you want to go, so I guarantee you somebody else within one of the groups has the resources and has experienced it. And so a lot of these people are willing to mentor and help. So, take advantage of it. Don't take advantage of the people, but take advantage of the things that are offered to you.
Absolutely.
But I appreciate you having me, man.
Well, we are shutting down, so we are Oscar Mike, and Rob knows that means we're on the move. But Rob, I was a hawker in the Marine Corps, so I'm saying mission in flight now. So,
I don't even know what that is.
So the missile would go off the rail. We'd say missile in flight. So I've kind of parodied that and said mission in flight. So whatever the mission is that you're doing, it's in flight, it's in moving. We're throwing that target 40 miles away at the Russian MiG coming in. We're lighting it up. So you're going to catch this everywhere, folks. Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. Like our page if you're a veteran. If you're a Marine, check out the Masshole Marines. You gotta show us you're for real, because we've run across a ton of scout snipers before, but make no mistake, Mr. Rob can sniff you out if you're a fake. Well, again, brother, I just thank you so much for coming on, and looking forward to having you back on, and I'll see you August 15th.
Sounds good, brother. I'll see you then.
We are out.